Hey everybody, it's Bust with Battles with Bust number 606. Today we'll be playing the Ranger and Backpack Battles. And so we're continuing our week out here with the Vineweave Basket, the trash bag, if you will. The trash bag, as I prefer to call it, as I think it is just far and away the worst bag in the game. But I've gotten a little bit more experience with it. I think I'd like to share some of the builds that could work with this. I still need some more experience with them, but it feels like things are trending upwards in terms of where the direction is going with the old trash bag here. And so, to me, the full build around component with everything we want to do with the old trash bag is going to be around the healing herbs. It's a very strong item in the sense that a lot of builds just can't beat it early, right? If you have a very low DPS start, you just can't kill 2 copies of healing herbs, and so it just accidentally wins us a few rounds in the early game. It ties in nicely for what this Vineweave basket wants us to do, giving us the healing from the item itself, and then also amplifying the healing by having nature slots taken up within the trash bag. And then it synergizes out with some of the later game builds that we get out of the subclass items. And so if you didn't catch our previous video, in terms of the subclass items, I think there's only 3 real ones for the trash bag here. I don't think the piercing arrow or the mega clover work with it. You either need a bunch of crit for the piercing arrow, which we don't have naturally, or you need a bunch of crit coming from the clovers out of the mega clover, which you don't get the bonuses from out of the ranger bag. They just don't really work with the Vineweave basket. It's not to say you can't get some really high rolly kind of build with flutes and clovers and crit wood rings showing up and stuff. It's just not very common builds that actually work with the Vineweave basket. So that sends us back to these Thorns builds with Poison Ivy, or it sends us over to the Yggdrasil Leaf, which both look to take advantage of those hearts. And so to give a quick overview of what I like out of the Thorns piece, that's going to let us go towards the Bloodthorn. So if we have all of these extra hearts, we can then spend them on the Bloodthorn. Or if we're looking towards what I'm ideally going to be pushing forth today, is we have access to the... let's see if we can get these mana items up real quick. Here we go. You start to get access to things like the heart container, which I've failed to put on the screen. Here we go. the heart container and the heart of darkness are things we're going to be building towards, and then that also works towards building towards things like the lightsaber, using the 3 hearts to inflict a bonus or a negative onto the opponent. And so I think these 2 things are what's really kind of taken me a while to figure out. Like whenever we look at the Yggdrasil Leaf, it does look like an item that we kind of expect to be going towards a big full mana build, and I just don't think that's effective in this patch. I thought that we might see something useful out of the Critwood staff. They're just too challenging to assemble within this patch, and so I think looking towards the hearts with the Yggdrasil Leaf is the way to go, and that sends us towards that heart container and sends us towards the lightsaber and potentially dark sabers as additional ways to spend that mana. And so we'll see how it comes together. I didn't get that explained exactly how I wanted to, but these hearts are going to be things that we look for very heavily here in the early game. And so we are to what is one of my least favorite pieces of the Vineweave basket, trying to high roll shit on sale. We got 2 sales here at the beginning, so we'll go ahead and purchase those. Let's go ahead and take another roll. Nothing on sale for this one, so we're going to roll again. We got a shiny shell and then a walrus tusk. That feels great. Let's take another roll. Oh, we got a banana on sale, and then that will leave us with 1 more mana to try and pick up sales with this dumbass bag right at the start, and a bunch of stuff turned up. This is actually a pretty good set of sales, but I think that properly illustrates why I hate this bag so much. You just have to kind of roll and hope that you land on, things that are useful and just on sale in general. Otherwise, your bag just doesn't do anything. And so I really hate the high roll aspect of what this bag does. We hit pretty well. Hitting 2 foods along with a tusk poker is quite strong. And so we should be kind of off to the races as far as this game goes. And then we have some sales for the future rounds we can look at as well. We're definitely going to pick up this leather bag next round. I'm not opposed to picking up wooden sword, like taking this Holy Relic plus Tusk Poker start will carry us fairly far into the game. Probably just not lock in the wooden buckler. I don't think we'll have space for it, and I'm not really impressed about it. And so I think this triangle of stuff up at the top will be a pretty decent set of purchases for round 2. You get 9 gold, so we should be pretty set in terms of picking all of those up. All right, what do we got here? Dude landed on the leather armor round 1. Very challenging to beat. I got so upset in one of my games yesterday. I got that lucky leather armor to start with. It's so strong. It basically triples your health on the first round. Very challenging to beat. And I had to run into a spear. It's just the absolute most dog shit stuff to have to run into. I was quite upset to lose to it, but I got over it, you know. It was okay at the end. And so let's see what we can do here moving forward. We're definitely picking up these sales. We've got the 2 onions and the banana. That's great. We're definitely picking up the short sword. We have a real question here as to what we want to do with the short sword. Do we want to turn it into the holy relic with the shiny shell and the wooden sword, or we can torch it with the lump of coal? And I do kind of like torches in the sense that it's a very powerful early to mid game item. You can look to build towards Yggdrasil leaves with it, right? The big problem that you have with Yggdrasil leaf is finding mana to spend, and turning the torch into mana torch or whatever it's called does give you an early game way to spend mana and take advantage of the leaf, but I don't like building towards mana, and so I think I'm going to just hang on to our money until the next round. I do want to come in and generate this whatchamacallit, holy relic, though. Be able to get our bag lined up a little bit better. There we go. Got all the nature items within the bag, the upgrades still happening, the tusk poker ready to go. Good stuff. Alright, another round of that dumbass star. Couple of stones coming at us. Seems like we're holding up okay. Gonna get a takedown. Go bust, go team. Good job, fam. I knew we had it in us. And so, moving forward, our stamina still looks pretty good here, right? We're only at low. We can still add in a fairly low stamina item and not feel too bad about it. In this kind of space, it's typically got to be like another bow. So we'll see how that plays out here in the early game. Not going to be looking to pick up things like the shovel. Just a little bit too mana intensive there. It feels like a little late to be jumping into it, right? I like to pick it up in the first couple of rounds. It starts to really lower down in value as you get farther away from the those bonuses you get before you sell it, or the items you generate before you sell it, I should say. Otherwise, if we did want to, go towards the torch, there is the health potion here. We skipped past that, so this won't work. Let's just go ahead and take a roll. We might actually find ourselves building towards thorns here today. Interesting. This is actually a very big pivot point within this build, because what I think happens in a lot of these games, if we go back to these subclass items, is again, there's going to be essentially 3 viable paths to go down the subclass with the ranger. We're going to skip the piercing arrow, skip the mega clover. And so what it feels to be like is at the very top, there's kind of 2 branches. You can either go towards thorns with poison ivy, or you can go towards hearts with the Yggdrasil leaf. And then as a backup, there's the big bowl of treats. We never just intentionally build towards pets. Pets are what we do when we try to build towards something and it just doesn't come together. And so we're either looking to build towards the leaf or the poison ivy. And there's a few different leaf builds, right? I did make mention of using the hearts to go for the bloodthorn, but what I think is the best poison ivy build is actually trying to use 3 copies of the Tusk Piercer, to where you start the battle with plus 12 thorns that immediately turns into 24 poison onto the opponent, and you get a lot of big OTK value out of it. But the problem with that kind of build to me is these tusk things, the walrus tusks, are very expensive. Like spending 12 mana on 3 walrus tusks and not having the build come together is pretty painful. But this is our second walrus tusk that's on sale, and it feels like it's really pushing us down this path. And so I did kind of intend to go towards the leaf today just to showcase some of this lightsaber stuff. But if the game's just going to present the walrus tusk to us, then that's probably where we have to go. I wanted to call out the importance here because of the box of riches. We will look to go towards King Crowns and then towards King Gooberts if we're going to be building out the Yggdrasil leaf builds, and so it's a very important and critical turn here in terms of, do we want to pick up this box of riches? If we're not going towards thorns, then most definitely, right? But getting this second walrus tusk out here, I feel like this is just definitely the path to be going down, is trying to put this thorns build together. And so let's go ahead and pick up these foods. We can get a lot of value out of this double banana, double onion start. And then it seems like we're looking pretty decent here. Okay, okay. Take a sip on this old coffee here. This is the first coffee I've ever made for myself in my entire life. I decided this week that I'm going to start drinking coffee. I'm giving up on the... I usually drink those like Crystal Light energy water things. And I've gotten kind of tired of it. There's not a lot of variety of flavors that you can get in those, and some of the flavors I just don't like. So it's something I'm trying to phase out, and I'm phasing in coffee. But coffee tastes like ass, and so this is probably like half coffee and then half milk and then a bunch of vanilla stuff and a bunch of sugar, and then hopefully we can just build into less just drinking sugar milk. So I'm making my way through it though. It's gonna be okay. I think it doesn't taste horrible, and so it's one of those things like beer, right? Whenever you start drinking beer in college or whenever, it's like, wow, this tastes like ass. Why does anyone drink this? And then a few years down the road, you're at the local brewery slinging down the super bitter IPAs, and so I feel like it's going to be the same boat, the same game. But all right, let's jump into the old backpacks here. There is a healing herbs. I think I still want to pick it up here. Now, the ideal build for me with the thorns is going to involve a lot of these tusk piercers, but there's so many items in the game that we aren't really guaranteed to see as many of these things as we want. And so I think we do need a little bit of a backup plan in these healing herbs, just in case we don't see the items that we need. Otherwise, going to come out and look for some bags. We found one here. And then see if we can't get any other upgrade spaces along the way. Doesn't look like too much coming together. Let's see if we can't update this bag just a little bit. Get a couple more nature items within the bag itself. Look at that. Man, I got this good looking onion set up. I don't want to even mess with it anymore, right? So let's put the tusk poker inside. Get that bonus from the nature bag. Jump on in. Do need to find, like, the mid game's going fine here, right? We're very well positioned to transition into the mid game. Do want to find again like another cheap pokey item so that we're spending all of our stamina, and then we need to find some bags here in the early game. But everything we could really ask for, we've got up and running. I think maybe we should have there was an on sale. That might have been a mistake. I was going to say there was an on sale gloves in that, and we should have maybe sold the stone, picked up the on sale gloves, and then used that to make a walrus tusk gloves thing. But I guess with the secondary short bow, oh shit, there's just an actual big bow. Perfect. Never mind. Everything's okay. The world is good. And so we're gonna pick up the big bow. I think I'll let the short bow go. It is a low stamina item. We could sell off the short bow to upgrade the shell totem, but I think we actually want to hang on to this shell totem and then just upgrade it to bow and arrows as they make themselves apparent. And so I think if the short bow was on sale, I would be okay with it, but off sale, I don't really want it. So let's skip past that. Take up the on sale clover. Looks like we'll immediately just come in and resell it to pick up this bag, but we do get to find another walrus tusk here. We're going to look to pick up more and more of these. Again, I don't like them early when you have to pay full price on it. But since we got 2 on the cheap, and now that we're building towards it seriously, I'm fine to pay the full price of $4 for it. Okay. that tusk piercer locked up for some reason. Not what we want to do. Gotta mess up this pretty looking onion stack real quick. Get these double stacks back in on the bananas. That looks good. These guys are back up here. Oh, this gets messed up for the walrus tusk. There we go. It's not as good as we want, right? That kind of angle we have here with this banana, where it's at on the bow and arrow, lets us get the 2 onions on both of the bananas. With this angle, we only get 1, right? But let's at least load up this other one. I think this is okay. All right, battle time. Looking good, looking good. What do we got here? This guy doesn't deal any damage. I think we're in good shape here. Hammering him home with the trash bag. Ooh, feels good. We've got all that empowered stacking up. I think it's gonna be fine. Our stamina held up pretty well that round as well, and so good stuff. All right, so yeah, taking the walrus tusk, this is a health potion to kind of keep your eyes on. If we'd gone down the path of upgrading the gloves, right, making that thorn gloves, we would definitely want to be picking up the heroic potion here, and then kind of pivoting out towards a thorn bloom build. It's what we touched on our previous video, but we're pretty locked and loaded on this tusk piercer build. I think we can let the heroic potion go. Maybe not. We're not going to want these food. So expensive, though. It's like I would rather just kind of be out here finding more bows and more bags at this point. I think our stamina wasn't really in trouble that round. Let's take a roll. Okay, we found another bag. Okay, I don't hate it. Oh, so here's the shit. God damn it. And so here's the banana setup I was trying to allude to in that previous round, right? Oh, I thought I had it. Where are you at? There we go. To where you get the 2 onions on the 2 bananas. Get this walrus tusk up in the special bag. Looks good. Now here we do need to look towards some kind of defensive stuff. This is going to be a fairly OTK heavy build, right? We're not going to be looking for a ton of sustain within this, as we want to spike up a ton of poison right at the beginning of the battle. And so things like leather armor, not typically what we're looking for here. You know, if we're going towards a hungry blade build, most certainly, but we're not going to be dealing any melee combat damage, so we're not going to gain the bonuses off the vampirics, and the battles aren't going to last that long. And so I'm definitely going to look for our 2 cap of discomforts here, but probably no real armors beyond that. Like if we find another armor, it's probably going to be something like a moon shield, and not anything like corrupted armor that expects the battles to drag on, right? If the battle only lasts 5 seconds, we're not getting a ton of usage out of a vampiric armor, to where if the battle lasts 5 seconds, we're still getting a flat percentage block on something like the moon shield. And so things like the leather armor just don't have the time to really pop off in a build like this. Now, it's not to say it's not bad to start with here. Like maybe we do actually want to lock in the leather armor with the intent to sell it later, as we do have a lot of bag space in here and we have a lot of onions. But I think we're a little bit worried about our finances. We don't have one of these starts to where we've kicked off with like double piggy bank shovel, and then you're just like, LOL, I have all the money, I can do whatever I want. We don't have any we don't have any bonus economy in our build, and so it's a little bit worrisome in that sense. But all right, on sale healing herbs looks good. On sale amulet, what do we got? Lifesteal amulet, not really interested, just go ahead and sell it. Then we've got a stamina sack and a heroic potion. I think we will take the heroic potion this time. It seems pretty reasonable in terms of things to like we're eventually just going to sell off all of these foods, right? And so let's go ahead and add that in. Keep the lock on the stamina sack. Off to battle we go. Alright, doesn't seem like this guy's builds fully come together. We were pretty healthy when his battle rage hit, so I think we're going to be okay. He's running out of stamina. We are not. Came nowhere near using that heroic potion, but we're not really, locked into our full build just yet. But yeah, coming in, very easy Pathfinder. That's been the plan from the start. Let's pick up the stamina sack. I wish the pestilence flasks weren't so shitty, right? We could get a lot of incidental usage out of things like the poison ivy. It'd be very nice right in the beginning to just spike the opponent up to 18 poison. And the pestilence flask gets us kind of close to doing that, but it's just so expensive. Like, I try to think to myself, like, what would I pay just to have pestilence flasks in our build? And it's like 2, I don't know, 3. Like, definitely not 7. 7 gold is way too expensive for these things, so we'll skip past that. Moving on sale dragon egg. Kind of interested in. It's something that works quite nicely when you have a lot of empowered, and if things keep going the way they're going, we're just gonna have this shell totem for a long time. And so I'm kind of interested in actually picking up the dragon here, especially since we haven't lost any rounds at this point, right? We haven't lost out on any of our hearts, and so we can take a bit of weakness over the course of the next couple of rounds to get this thing up and running. I like it, I think. All right, we got to be able to organize these bags just at least a little bit better, though, right? Maybe we're able to do this. We're almost at all of the hexes. There we go. So we've hit all the hexes on our poison ivy now. Gotta like that. Make our banana just a little bit better. Looking good, fam. Don't think we want any of this other stuff. The empowered from the carrots would be fairly decent in this build since we have so many weapons, but we don't have any clover generation, so it's going to be kind of crappy. All right, what's happening here? He zinged us down pretty quick. Does he even have crit? 31%. Oh, this is. I thought he was. I thought he was using the shitty bag like we are. I was like, what happened? Where'd all your crit come from? Ah, you're using the bag that doesn't suck. Well decided, my friend. Well decided. So let's continue on. I would like some scaling like the gen lamp, but nothing in our build really lets us activate this, so we would need oil lamps to pop off. Definitely want to pick up this corrupted crystal. It's not going to be spectacular right now, but it's going to be better as we find those corrupted caps. And so I think we just probably want to put it in the bow. We're probably not going to fatigue too frequently here, so let's go ahead and snatch that one up. I'm a little interested in the divine potion. The battle shouldn't be going to stamina, or going to fatigue, but still clearing out these debuffs is kind of nice, especially when this thing is on sale. Also kind of eyeballing the Shield of Valor down here, but I'm a little bit worried about our weapons. Like, we've kind of overstayed the welcome of Shell Totem, and we need to find another Tusk Piercer, and so I think we just want to save this money and roll a bit next round. All right, big empowered's coming at us. We don't have a ton of sustain here, so we gotta worry about this a bit. Yeah, we need to get we either need to get some kind of decent defensive in here, or we need to get to OTKs faster with these Tusk Piercers, and so we're getting zinged down at the moment. Alright, so let's pick up the oil lamp. Definitely happy to add it. Don't really want the mana orb or the Wolpentinger. We have no clovers, so the acorn collar is not going to do anything. Really just need to find another weapon. That's the major pain point here. Let's continue to roll, and there it is. We could go ahead and just purchase it probably, right? We get 3 out of the Shell Totem. We can start to sell off these onions. That's going to give us enough money to purchase the bow and arrow. Okay. Let's do the thing where the where the tips are touching. We still get, yeah, there we go. We still get the bonuses out of the poison ivy this way. We got the old sword fight set up. The tips are touching. What more could you ask for? Okay, and then do we want the oil lamp? I typically just put the oil lamps on the dragons because they never run out of stamina. It should be going on the thing with the lowest cooldown, which would technically be the tusk poker up here at the top. Can we make that fit? Okay, that'll work. It would be a different story if you have crit, right? If you have crit, then you probably want it to go on the thing that has the highest... I guess it would just be a big math problem, right? But you typically want to enhance the item that has the highest max damage. But here, we don't have any crit, so we're going to put it on the fastest one. Yay, up against a busted blade before he's busting blades. Oh, he's never getting the big busted blade. It's a Reaper with that. Oh, we're just going to get zinged by it, huh? So close to getting these takedowns. We're going to get it right at the end? Barely. Barely. Shit, you know what I just noticed? We didn't upgrade our bow and arrow. I'm so bad about that. It's so bad. It's okay. We at least got the win. We'll try and fix it now. With this, can't really use any of these things. The Mani Niku, not on point with our build, right? These are legendary weapons, so it's not going to work. Moving forward, there's another dragon. I'm a little interested in just trying to pop off with like the biggest OTK that we can. And the dragon's going to send us down that path. And so I think we'll take the lock-in on it. It's going to take us a few rounds to get to it. We'll get the tusk poker up and running. Fix up our bag just a little bit. Missing out on one nature hex, but there we go. And then do we want the potion belt? Let's hold off on the potion belt. It's a little expensive. Right, up against the pet build. See who can build up the most poison. We should be in fairly decent shape here. He's counting on poison to do all of his damage, and we're maxed out on our poison ivy, and so should be able to get a little bit of time here. Not dealing nearly as much damage as I'd like to be, though. Barely got him right at the end. That last little nugget coming through to end the day. Good stuff. Alright, so what do we got here? The Artifact Stone Cold should be okay. The weapon hits inflicting frost bites. We can get it in a decent space in here where it's on 2 items. Okay. I guess we'll go for it. Like, I had in my head that we were going to be able to damage down the opponents a lot faster, but I guess I'm kind of used to using the ranger bag that doesn't suck, and it's just taking us a lot more time to deal the damages we need to do. And so hopefully this Artifact Stone Cold will be fine. You know, getting to slow down the opponent just a little bit. But things should start to look a little bit better here as we immediately pop for 8 thorns. And those 8 thorns turning into 16 poison. Our damage is going to be a lot bigger here in the early game now. It's taking him down much smoother. All right, end of the survival round. We're looking strong enough to fight it, I think. So what can we do here? I do always like these glowing crowns. This is the premier defensive item in the game to me. Just getting that invulnerable for 2 seconds is so good, but we have literally no ways to generate mana, so it's not going to work for us today. Let's pick up the stamina sack. Want that one. Here is our first cap of resilience. Definitely want that as well. Otherwise, don't need the blood amulet. Don't need the healing herbs. We can skip past the rest of this stuff. It is worth noting with the cap of resilience. I can quit saying this eventually, right? But you don't have to you don't have to socket the cap to get it to upgrade. We'll keep the socket on the weapon here, but a lot of times you would prefer it just to be in fatigue or something to upgrade the cap because you typically can't deal debuffs, right? We can deal debuffs. We could get that little bit of armor to start, but I'm taking preference to the damage here. All right, showing the frost mage how to frost. Looks like we're gonna we're gonna lose the round here, but that's the important way to do it. Okay, okay. So definitely interested in these heart containers. Picking up um, the empowered from these is quite good, as we have 5 weapons out here, and so we shouldn't have too much trouble generating the hearts that we need for this. Where are we at? All right, so we've got our Tusk Poker upgrading here. Our second dragon coming online, our Cap of Discomfort coming online. We're starting to pop here. Things are starting to look fairly decent. The old Cubert turning up. The Cubert is literally insane with these Ranger builds. Highly recommend it for these if it ever turns up for you. Okay, zinged right through that guy. Felt pretty good. I'm still not opposed to picking up something like leather armor. Now, if we're not going to be able to use the preferred defensive item, I guess it's a thing. We'll let it go here. We might be able to find something on sale. All right, found a little bag though. Yeah, the glowing crown's what we want. We're just not going to be able to use it. There is a Critwood collar, but no clovers. Got to skip past that. And then more bags. And then there's also the heroic potion. I'm going to take the heroic potion just to get this banana out of the mix. I don't feel like we've used it. We probably we probably should have been paying closer attention to our stamina and then look to put an additional item within the mix before the game is over. We're not using our stamina. We're just giving up on an entire resource. And so I'm pretty certain our stamina is just not draining. Looks like we haven't fallen below 7. So we can most certainly add in another weapon, try and pop off these big OTKs early. How do we want to go about that? I definitely want another cap. This should probably be just the last defensive that we take, and then we just look to add in another weapon. I'm not opposed to Ripsaw Blades. I do really like these. What do we end up looking to cut for that, though? I still want to make sure we're getting our bonuses out of the Poison Ivy, but we're getting to the point in the game to where these smaller nature items are harder to find, so kind of awkward there. But let's add in the Ripsaw Blade and see how bad this goes. Right? It says we're at 2 stamina per second, but we've got double strong heroic potion. I think we should be fine. Now, I'm trying to consider if we want to rearrange any of this stuff to pop off an additional nature hex. We probably should, but I'm not going to figure it out. Is this Cheese Ranger, huh? Well, always feels good carrying the Cap of Resiliences against the cheese builds, just nullifying huge amounts of what they're trying to do. Looks like he's going to outdo us, though. I saw his glowing crown pop off right at the end, but our stamina held up pretty well here. We got to the very end, popped 2 heroic potions, and then we're still at 3, so we would have had a few more seconds before the stamina finally popped off. So that's good to know, good to see. So here I'm kind of interested in picking up one more potion to just to ensure that we're getting the maximum activations out of these things. I was initially leaning towards the Divine Potion, but I think I don't hate the Pestilence Flask here. Just using it to, you're really wanting to hit 18 poison right at the start, so you're getting that bonus damage, but we're only hitting 16, right? And so getting the extra poison, if we get 9 poison out of the Pestilence Flask right at the beginning, it gets us a lot closer. I guess it's only going to be 3, but once we activate a heroic, it should get us close. And so I think we want to pick this up. We can put it back this way. So when our heroic potions pop, they get to drink the Pestilence Flask. I think that's a good idea. I'm trying to think if we ever want to just go for like pineapples. It's so slow at this point. Like, I do want to pick up additional nature items to make sure the poison ivy's activating, but is pineapple really what we want? It's going to activate like twice. I don't think that's the way to go. I do want this walrus tusk. Well, there's only 2 rounds left. I guess it's a little late for it to be effective. I was going to say, I really want this walrus tusk so that we can potentially, you know, make one more thorny item, but that's just not going to happen. Jesus, look at all the pets on this guy. The big OTK battle couldn't sustain it. The busted blade doing it for him at the end of the day. So, all right, the last round. Let's see if we can finish this off. Definitely pick up the oil lamp. Need the damages coming from it. Here's a bow and arrow turning up right at the end of the fucking day. I guess we'll snatch it up just to get this build to completion, but it's definitely a little late to the party. Can add in the bag. I guess carrots. It's just not going to do anything. Interested in the Shield of Valor, but it's going to be too slow as well. I think we just pick up the health potion. It's going to be, you know, fairly challenging for us to fill out the remainder of these bags, and the health potion is going to give us some like definite usage here on the final round. Right, so we can like poison, heroic, and then health potion. That looks fine. Scooch these bags over. Get our friend upgrading here with the oil lamp. That looks decent to me. Yeah, this bow is just not going to play nice in terms of positioning, is it? I guess we can just move it, right? I mean, we have plenty of additional hexes we can move this, this healing herbs to. I think we gotta get our heart container in here as well. What if we just do this? Put the bonus down onto the dragon. When the starred weapon hits the bow and arrow, gains a bonus. So we would prefer it to be on the tusk poker at this point, but it's going to be a struggle to get all of these items within the bags. Alright, maybe something like this isn't horrible. Okay, that's probably about as good as it's going to get. We can take another roll, see if something cheap turns up. Got a clover in the mix, sure. Why not finally get a clover out here in a ranger build? And that's going to do it. That's going to get us into battle. Let's dive on in. See what these tusks can poke down. Up against another cheese build. Popped off those big poisons right at the start, doing the good damages. If we can take him down before his sustain pops in. Nope, we're getting aced. Bummer. And so, good stuff. Didn't take it as far into the survival as I would like, but I think this was a pretty good run in terms of things that we can do with this build. Now, again, it didn't turn out as OTK heavy as I would like. It's so strange just like watching these builds go and go and go, and it's like I know that if we had the other bag, the crit bag, that we would just be like slaying these opponents down out of nowhere, but we're stuck with the trash bag here, and it's just like I'm watching these battles and I'm just like, why isn't the opponent dead yet? And it's like, oh, it's because we're using this shitty bag and we're missing out on on probably like dealing 30% more damage at a minimum. And so it's just a real bummer from that viewpoint and that standpoint. But to me, this is one of the highlight builds that you probably will find yourself going towards with this Ranger bag. As you look at how these games kind of sequence, the way this worked for us was, well, you have to get the sales in the early game, and we found the tusks on sale, and we got to build out from that. We got into a fine build. The things that I would have preferred to have seen with this, would have liked some additional heart containers, and I wish we could have found our other tusk piercer earlier. To me, the big power, play with this is where, as we were talking about the poison potion wanting to hit that poison ivy immediately. That's what the third tusk poker lets you do. Is you get 12 mana that converts into 24. Then when you have that 24 poison, you're immediately dealing that 25% damage right from the start. But when you only have 2, you get to 16, and then you have to find just a little bit more work to get the poison up and running. And if your opponent removes any of your debuffs or prevents any of your debuffs, and you're just kind of hosed again. So it's super important for these builds to actually find that third Tusk Piercer, and it just took us until super late in the game to actually come out and find it, so it was a bit of a bummer there. Otherwise, I was happy how things went. I think we actually played this one nicely. We still look towards, I think, just the right amount of defenses with the 2 caps, even though we were only able to assemble 1. And the thing that, again, I really would have liked to have found were these heart containers. I think this is actually what you're going to be finding as the key to success with the trash bag ranger, in terms of the builds that you're going down, either something with the poison ivy or going towards things with the Yggdrasil leaf. All of them are happy with the heart container. If you're trying to sustain general vampirics, heart container gives you the hearts to generate them. Builds like this, to where we have 6 weapons, generating the immediate empowered along with some bonus health is absolutely fantastic. And then if you're looking towards the Yggdrasil leaf builds, it should also be pretty close to auto activating, as you get so many hearts when the leaf initially activates right at the beginning of the game. And so another place where we took all of the heart containers that we saw, I would have liked to have had 2 or 3 even if they turned up. They did not. It just kind of is what it is. And so I think things went well within this. We didn't get that maximum amount of wins throughout the battle, but I think we did well with what we were offered, and we're pretty close to having a higher plus LP run. And so, good stuff. I had fun with that. I hope you did too, because that is going to do it for us today. So if everyone enjoyed the video, hope you maybe learned a thing or two along the way, and you had a good time watching. This is Boston Wee. Thank you for being here.